Welcome. I'm Amanda Falone on behalf of Roseborough Travel. Our whole team would like to thank you for joining us today. We have the pleasure of bringing to you some of the most amazing hosts for this event within our industry. The river cruising, the yachting, and the small ship vessels of our industry are really an incredible way to travel. And we think that this is going to be one of the best events that you will have stepped foot in, because you will get to hear from all of the major and all of the best brands. So first of all, I would like to go ahead and welcome our team up. If the team from Roseborough Travel could join me so that you get an idea of who we are, the smiling faces behind the phones if you call in. Tiffany, you get to take it away and have the whole presentation. So everybody knows, Tiffany and I have been the owners of Roseborough Travel for the last 10 years. And where I enjoy standing in front of people and talking, she totally hates it, and I put her on the spot for it. But we have a little bit of a reverse role in the office too. She's the one in charge. She's the woman in charge in there. So we have a great marriage. So Tiffany and I have had the agency for 10 years now, actually going into 2020. We will be celebrating 50 years in business. Wow. And as you might notice, we're 85 years old. Thank you. We started the business when we were 35, and we've just found the fountain of youth in all of our travels. And so, yeah, we're going on our 86th birthday this year. Thank you. Okay, so good thing it wasn't truth serum. So next up, I'm going to go ahead and let the team introduce themselves and tell a little bit about themselves.
Hi everybody, I am Rose Forbes. I've been with Roseborough for about 6 years, primarily as an outside independent agent, but now I've been in the office since the summer, meeting all these wonderful people in the office and also helping with our outside team develop their sales too. So it's been a pleasure to be with all these ladies during the day rather than being cooped up in my own house. So
Thank you, Rose.
good to see you all. Hello.
I guess that means me. So my name is Alyssa, and for some of you know me, for the rest of you, I'm the voice on the other end of the phone when you call into the office the first time. I have been with Roseborough for about a year, so I get to work with all of the lovely ladies at Roseborough, and they are teaching me everything that they know, so that I can help them better and help you guys travel better.
And Alyssa has started to transition her role into more of an agent apprentice, is what she likes to call it. So we hired her in as our assistant part-time. She quickly went to full-time, and everybody seems to love her. And she has been growing and growing and growing and learning the entire industry from the ground up, so it's a really great experience to have her, as well as Rose, who pretty much did the same thing. She did all of the training and research that she possibly could, and she could probably tell you a good bit about each of the brands in here today, but not as much as the vendors can, so that's why you're here to listen to them. And then when you come into the office to chat with us. I have Brittany, the face behind the camera. She's the face behind the emails, the face behind the Facebook campaigns, the face behind all of the flyers, marketing, advertising, and everything else. So Brittany is our marketing manager and does an excellent job with that, and she is an amazing team member that gets to hide behind the camera. And she's like, I'm not turning that camera around in my face. So, and then we also have Bretta in our office, who's off on Wednesdays, so she doesn't always come to our events, as well as Debbie, who just took off on a California trip today with a group from our office. So we have them, and then we just hired Monica to help kind of backfill some of Alyssa's position, since Alyssa's growing up the agent side. So we've got a nice big team and a nice small office. We're always happy. Right, anybody who's been in there knows that. So, all right, thank you all, team. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and have the celebrities of the hour. If all of our vendors can come up and please take your seats, we will go ahead and have you join us, and we'll start the fun. We have Sebastien Leroy from AmaWaterways, Christen from American Cruises, Monique Ross from Crystal, Karen Brooks from Seadream, and Javier. How do you say that? I've known him so much.
Yataco. Who's Taco? Yataco.
He's Javier from Viking Cruises. So,
Years ago.
I asked ahead of time, I promise I did, to see if everybody was going to be friendly enough to sit at the table.
Forget.
Pretend like we're as small as we used to be.
They love each other. They love each other. See, that's the best thing. That's the best thing about this industry is everybody kind of gets along, and you can go to these industry events and they run into each other all the time throughout the week and the month.
Sometimes more than our significant others.
All right. So let's go ahead and get this party started. I have my first question for our lovely team up here is an introduction. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, lovely. So the first one is an introduction, and we're going to go ahead and start with our river cruise, one of our river cruises. And Sebastien, you are first up. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Good. Yes, I will. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sebastien Leroy, or I mean the American way to say it is Sebastien Leroy, but I'm from France, so that's why there are two ways to say it. I am business development manager for AmaWaterways. I'm also a cruise manager for the company. Been with this great cruise line for the past 8 years. AmaWaterways is a line that does rivers only. We've been present in Europe, in Africa, and in Vietnam and Cambodia, technically since 2002. And well, I'm looking forward to answering your questions a little bit later and presenting you also who we are.
Next up, Sydney.
Okay, good evening. I'm Christen. I'm pleased to be here this evening. I love your little town. It's a beautiful little town here. One of Florida's secrets, I think. Anyway, I'm with American Cruise Lines. We are the largest USA river cruise operator. Myself, I've been in the selling river cruises for many years. I know the secrets of river cruising and how fabulous way it is to travel and really see the destinations. So I want to be here this evening to talk to you a bit more about American Cruise Lines, all the great cities that you can see right here in your backyard, and learn the history of our country, because typically people travel further when they're younger. As they get older, we want to stay closer to home. That's what we can offer to you, because myself too, I haven't seen a lot of America, so that's what we can present to you.
Excellent. All right, Monique.
Okay, just had to see if that was still me. All right, my name is Monique Ross, and I am with Crystal Cruises. I've been working with the cruise line industry for over 10 years, working for the suppliers. Prior to that, I was an agent for over 15 years. So I've sold a lot of different products. I've experienced a lot of different cruise lines in the triple-digit numbers, a lot for business, some for pleasure. And coming here this evening, you see all these different names and numbers that we have behind us. Crystal Cruises is a portfolio of a luxury brand that offers ocean ships, expedition, yacht, and river. Today we will definitely be focusing more on the river and yacht experience. But just note that everything within our portfolio has a lot of the commonalities to that luxury feel, all of the offerings. It's just how and what kind of mode and where you want to travel that goes into play. So thank you for having us this evening. I look forward to our banter.
And I'm Karen Brooks. I'm with Seadream Yacht Club, and we do yachting. And but not maybe what you typically think of yachting. We have 2 vessels that we call our classic vessels that hold 112 passengers. The same number of crew, and then we're building one right now that will have 200 passengers with 200 crew as well. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but I'm glad to be here too.
Thank you. And Javier?
Yes, good evening. My name is Javier Yataco. In the industry, 17 years actually. I can't believe it. I was just,
Started as a baby.
I know. I was just talking to Monique about it. Like, oh my gosh.
This is a long time.
Actually, there's some familiar faces here as well that I've seen with working with Roseborough. Great to see you all. Previously, I was with another cruise company, but with Viking 2 years now. The company itself has a 22-year history, and as you know, growing leaps and bounds. We started with rivers, we started with oceans, and also breaking last week for any past guests in this room. We announced our expedition adventures. So if you're a past guest, we have the preview period running right now through January 15th, and yeah, we can chat more in the back about it. So.
Excellent. All right, thank you very much. So, most of the time when people come into the office or start planning a river cruise or a yachting experience or even an expedition, they kind of want to know what there is to do on board, especially if they've come from big ship cruising within our industry. So, who better to tell you about a life in the day of, right? So first we'll start out with a European river cruise. Give us a life in the day of a European river cruise. And AmaWaterways is going to start. So Sebastien, will you give us a life in the day of a European river cruise?
Yes.
What do you tell us about it?
It is, I mean, of course, there are major differences, and actually I was just talking to one of our guests a few minutes ago about that. There are many differences between ocean and rivers. I mean, we can say, technically, the way I describe it is that the ocean will take you to countries, the rivers will take you through them. So that's a first major difference. I mean, you will be docked in the heart of the cities 99% of the time, which means that you will not have, to be passing around to discover the places. Another thing, and I guess that's common to all of us here, I mean, river and yacht, is the small number of guests. I mean, that's the intimacy that you will not have, I mean, that you will have with our ship, that you don't have, of course, on an ocean liner where you have 3,500 people, and that's very, very different. When it comes to rivers, I always say that these ships, the size of the ship is very similar, simply because the ships have to be able to go through locks. If you don't go through a lock, you don't go very far. The ships are always small enough that you will always find the people you want to find, but they're also big enough that you can avoid the people you don't want to see. And a day is very relaxed. I mean, there are, now I'm talking for ourselves, my colleagues will describe their days in a few seconds, but I think that on board our ships, the motto, as far as I'm concerned, is you can, but you don't have to. We're here, I mean, we're talking about high-end cruise lines. We have a lot of things that are included, if not all of them. For us, when we start the day, I mean, you will have, of course, your breakfast. You will have the possibility to go and take a wellness class, because we have wellness hosts on board. And after that, you will have to be able to start with the touring. So touring, we offer a lot of different activities. They are all included. We have different pace of walking, and that's something that is very important, because we all know that the demographics on the ship are not always the same. So we will have what we call gentle walking, we will have regular walking, we have active walking. So that you will have also the possibility to choose a bike tour, a hike, so a lot of different possibilities. After that, you have, of course, the dining experience that is very, very important for all of us. You want to have a great time when you're eating. When we're talking about luxury nowadays, we could talk about food. When I talk about luxury, when it comes to food, I say that what makes us a luxury cruise line is that we will be able to adapt to any dietary request. And this, I think, nowadays, I mean, having more and more allergies left and right, this is something that is very important, and that's we want the guests to have really the best experience all the time. And I think that the important thing as well is when you come back from your day of excursion, I think on our ships, you come back and really feel like at home. You know, that's something that is very important. Not feeling like I'm in a hotel, I'm somewhere where I'm not really familiar with. No, you come back on the ship, you're at home. You're traveling with your friends, they will go left, you will go right. You come back in the evening, you have your little cocktail during the sip and sail hour, and that's the social hour, and you enjoy your time like you would be at home.
Thank you. All right, Crystal Cruises. Monique, will you give us a day in the life of a Crystal River Cruises?
A lot of what you're going to hear from us today is there's a lot of overlap in what we offer with our products. So what I would kind of like to do is point out some of the minute differences that we have at Crystal. But when we were asked to talk about a day in the life on a Crystal river, the rivers are going to be the same as far as whether Alma's on the river, Viking's on the river, Crystal's on the river, it's the Danube, it's the Rhine, or wherever they may go, it's those cities. So we all are going to have those different shore excursions that we're going to offer that will be inclusive. We do break ours down based on activity levels, but we also break it down on experiences. Something with Crystal that is very important is one of our pillars is choices. I like that Sebastien mentioned that you feel like you're going home when you come back to the ship. That is how our past guests believe with Crystal Cruises. We have a huge Crystal Society, past guests following at Crystal. And the reason for that is because they do feel at home. When they go on our ships, regardless of the experience, I cannot tell you how many agents will contact me to find out if their favorite butler's on board, if their favorite maitre d' is on board, if we have specific entertainers on board that sailing. And we've got guests that literally will hold off on their travel plans each year so that they can travel with our staff that have become their extended family. So when we talk about Crystal experience, you saw that beautiful picture up behind me a moment ago. That's how you're going to wake up in the morning on over 70% of the rooms on our river ships. We do have the youngest fleet in the industry on the European rivers, and they're all verandas. So the verandas that you saw, that's your morning wake up. And the images, no, go back to, okay, perfect. Now you have choices. You have choices of how you want to spend your day. You have all of those excursion choices that will be included. What is nice with most of the brands up here is the inclusion of what you're purchasing. You're pulling out that checkbook one time or swiping that credit card one time. Everything as you go through your day is based on what you want to do and how you want to do it. Whether you're sitting on the top deck as you're going down the Rhine, or you're having a dinner or a meal in one of our multiple restaurants on board the ship, even that with our river product is open style, meaning that if we're open from 6 to 9:30 for dinner, you could show up whatever time that you want, which is not always the case with every river product out there. Nothing that we do is frozen, pre-prepared on board. The excursions are going to have slants of cultural, gastronomy, health and wellness, and immersions into different types of history. So when you're on board our ships, it's really about how you want to travel, what you want to do each day. We do not have a set schedule each day on board our vessels where you're reporting to the parlor at 4 o'clock for a port talk, or you're reporting to dinner at 6 o'clock when that room opens. Everything really is like being at home, right down to the 24-hour pantry that we have right down the hallway that you can help yourself 24/7, just like you do in the middle of the night going into your kitchen to get a midnight snack. So with us, just like everybody up here, it's experiencing the cities on the waterways, but then it's coming home, and it's how you want to come home each evening as to which product you would choose up here.
Excellent. Javier.
Great, thank you. Just so that I know my audience a little bit better, by raise of hands here, how many have sailed on rivers, whether on any brand, but have sailed before? Okay, great. So a lot of new to river over here. So I'm just going with that perspective with this here. So, and through my eyes and what I personally enjoyed in my years of sailing, with Viking, one of our claim to fame is this patent design of our Aquavit terrace. So I typically start my mornings out over here and catch the views, have breakfast, and then looking at my clock, at my watch, because starting soon are the included tours. That's the beauty with river cruising and all of us, is that we have included tours already set. So one of my favorites, and just recently, is going over to Chesapeake Crumlop, and it is a scenery of mystical and Disney Disney-esque. You can see all of the views over here. There's so much to do. One of our guests here, I was escorting one of our fams, and he was a first-time river cruiser on Viking, and he's like, oh my gosh, there's so much to see and do in such limited time. Thank God for these included tours, because it saves me so much time. I'm going right to the key attractions and you know, making the most of my time. So loved it, and you can just see here just some of the scenery that you can see. Next slide over here. After the included tours, usually the guests would come back to the ship and have lunch on board, and then after lunch, you'd have the optional tours that you could purchase with Viking, or you could explore the city on your own. With these optional tours, we really highlight what we call the Viking way, and it's to immerse the guests with the destination even further, making sure that the guests can understand some of the local life there, or the working world there, or experience something unique just for Viking with what we labeled as privileged access with these optional tours. But that's some stuff there with the that you can do in the afternoon and experience the Viking way. Next slide. And then after that afternoon tour, or if you're exploring on your own, you obviously come back for dinner. You're going to need to touch this here. So have dinner. These were just some entrees that were coming through that I took a picture of. Then after dinner, you can go up to the Viking Lounge and do some of the live entertainment. Here's a we were in Austria. They were learning an Austrian dance with some Austrian dancers. So it's a lot to see and do. It's a fun-filled day. It's a long day because in the Viking Lounge, you're looking at your clock and your watch, and it's like almost midnight. You're like, oh my gosh, I got to go to bed because I got to do it all over again the next day.
And I think that's it, is a lot of times people wonder if there's not as much necessarily to do on the ship, what are you doing? You're getting off and exploring. You're doing everything off of the ship. That's what you're there for, is to get through the countries, to get through the destinations, and to truly immerse yourself into the local culture and experiences. So thank you all for giving us a day in the life of a European river cruise. Now, what about an American river cruise? Cindy, will you give us a day in the life of an American river cruise?
Sure, be happy to. So there are some similarities between the European and the American, but what I will tell you is that it's just a very relaxed atmosphere on board. It's easy peasy. In the morning you're going to get up, you're going to have a really hearty breakfast with lots of choices. After that, then usually we have a nice tour for you that's included in the program. And these are hosted tours by local guides, and they're bringing the history of the destination to you out on the tour. Yeah, there we are rolling down the river. So we have several different types of ships. We're doing river, the Columbian Snake, or the Mississippi, Ohio, or Cumberland. And then we also have the small coastal ships that are taking you to these very unique places along the coast, like the Puget Sound in San Juan, or Alaska, or the Maine coast, the Hudson, New England, Chesapeake Bay, or even here from Florida, the historic South, from Jacksonville to Charleston. So you go off on your excursion, you're learning all this history and great things about your beautiful country. It's bringing it all home, the honor of being here in this beautiful country and the wonderful things that we have and the history of our country. You'll come back on board after your nice tour where you've met lots of new friends on board, and you're going to have a nice dinner before that, a wonderful cocktail party that's almost like a big meal because there's so many choices. And we'll have drinks for you. You can have anything you want, top shelf liquor. And we'll have dining. And then we have, of course, we have entertainment in the evening. But I forgot to tell you one thing. We always have a lecturer or historian on board. And every day this person will do some history. If we're on the Mississippi, they're going to tell you all the history about the Mississippi, the paddle wheelers, about the Civil War, and there's so much history about the Mississippi River, for instance. So you're always learning on these things, and I think it makes you kind of feel like a kid again, because you're meeting new friends, you're having fun, you're relaxing, you're not worrying about anything. It's very casual on board, and you get a good night's rest, but I mean, you can stay up and dance if you like. We have entertainment. We have great entertainment, local entertainment, dancers, performers, musicians.
Yeah, you're still in the same kind of stuff.
The good thing is that, you know what, you're not going to fly so far to get on the ship. You're not going to be necessarily, I love to go to Europe too, but you know, the flight is a long flight and so forth. So here you're not going to have to fly as far. You're not going to have any language barrier or anything like that. So it's just a very easy atmosphere for you. But it's fun too, because we have so many great things here to see in the United States that a lot of us have missed, including myself. I've been to Europe many times, but haven't seen a lot of my own country. And that's what makes you feel very proud to see these things and experience these things and meet other people. And it's just a whole learning experience. I think probably learning a lot in Europe too, but learning about your own countries is a great thing.
Agreed. I think every time I go on any of these river cruises or any type of travel experience, you go, all right, I forgot everything from school and I'm relearning it in a fun way. It's like going back to school, meeting new friends, and relearning your history in such an amazing way, or the history of another country. So, very good, thank you. All right, so now we've talked about river cruising, but what about yachting? Yachting, I think, is the key term in our industry that perplexes people if they've never thought about it. So I love that you're both here to talk about yachting experiences and a day in the life of a yacht. So, Monique, we're starting with you on this one.
Okay. So, it's interesting, because you use the word yacht and you kind of think, you know, very hoity-toity and very stuffy, and I think that we kind of relate the yacht aspect of terminology to the fact that she's only a 62-passenger vessel. It is very casual on board. It's actually the most casual experience that Crystal offers. I just did the ship myself, and we had her in the Caribbean for a few seasons, so I was just down there this past March, and it's absolutely spectacular. It's the closest thing you could ever imagine to chartering your own private yacht. Has anybody ever seen that show on Bravo called Below Deck?
Yes.
Okay. Never ever watched it because I don't do a lot of reality. I don't even get to see TV most of the time, but we had Ben, the chef, do some sailings with us, so I started watching it and I became addicted. But now I digress. It is the closest to chartering your own private boat without actually having to do it. We were looking at some of the flyers back there. We've got 62 guests. We have 90 crew member to take care of those 62 guests. All of the rooms are suites on board. You do have butler service. But to take it one step further, her size is about just over 2,000 tons. So what happens is we have the ability to go to these small ports, these small islands, these small private locations that really are yachters' paradises. I mean, we went into St. Bart's. We go into Eden Island in the Seychelles. And there are private yachts that are actually bigger than our Esprit is. The food on board is wonderful. You have water toys. Our water toys are inclusive to the experience as well. And I say water toys meaning kayaks, snorkeling, paddle boards. We do have a submersible submarine. There is an additional fee for that, but the yacht experience, like our river experience, is completely inclusive. So when we go to different locations, when we're in the Caribbean, because we were doing a lot of remote islands that would not necessarily be on a typical tourism cruise in the Caribbean, we were kind of limited to the shore excursions that we could do. So it was sometimes like maybe 1 to 2 that were complimentary. But right now, the yacht is doing in the fall, she's in the Arabian Peninsula. In the winter, she does the Seychelles, 7 nights round trip from Mahé. And then she is in the Adriatic, Mediterranean, Greek Isles for the rest of the season. So in those destinations, we have anywhere from 3 to 5 shore excursions that are complimentary, depending upon the port. We don't limit and say, okay, you've got this many complimentary shore excursions, and then we have extras. We do have a handful of extra excursions during the course of a vacation, a 7-day typical itinerary, simply because we may go to a location and we may only be able to take 16 people to see a unique experience, and those persons can purchase into that. But beyond that, you do have the multiple experiences, very similar to river, going toward different types of, whether it's cultural, gastronomy, active levels, things like that. You have the ability of having your 24-hour room service and then going out and jumping off the back of the marine platform in these beautiful waters that we offer. The ships, and I'm sure Karen will also talk about this too because of the size of the vessels, you are going to locations pulling up to these private marinas, these tiny little coves that other of the commercial products do not go. The fact that we are luxury and that everything is inclusive is just a little kind of cherry on top of that sundae for you. But it is an extremely intimate, casual experience. You're not going to see high heels on board in the evening. It's lovely. You have your whole day in the port. You're doing your, whether you're snorkeling or whether you're going off into town. You come back. You get into these beautiful bathrooms, double vanity sinks, big, huge walk-in showers. You get ready, go up to cocktail hour. Staff is walking around with little hors d'oeuvres. You're having your cocktails served. We've got music and live performances in the lounge. Once the dining room opens, it's very similar to the rest of our experiences. It's open dining. It's at your leisure that you walk into the restaurant. It's an open kitchen. You get to see the chefs cooking on board. The food is so beautiful when it comes out. And again, 62 people, you become family very quick. I can't say you can run and hide as easily on the yacht from people. You become where you're like, oh my gosh, did you get that? I was gonna get that, let me take a picture. When dinner is served with the largest group of people coming in about the same time in some cases, everyone's running around taking photos of the food because it's so gorgeous. Afterwards, we have the after evening entertainment. You can go back to the room and watch a movie, and people say, you go and do this. Again, this is your vacation. People travel differently on vacations, and they travel for different reasons. And a lot of our guests are taking 2 weeks back to back, so 14 days, they take an evening off. But it really is a casual experience. We do a lot of charters. Could be something that Roseborough and I could talk about later. We do a lot of charters with our Esprit yacht. So I don't want to take all of the things. We're so similar. We're so similar.
Ditto.
Yeah. So I will stop so she can talk about Seadream, which is also a lovely product as well.
Thank you. I suggested she and I just have a brunch match out here.
We'll duke it out.
Yeah. I don't know why I've got Capri, Italy here, but you can see that one of my favorite ports while I just kind of bring out just a few of our differences. I forget, what was the comment that you made? You go to countries
destination rather than through.
Now, if you yacht, you go along destination. So we do coastal yachting. And all the major ports that are along the coast, we will just skim along and once again go into the yachting ports. The yachting ports are so decidedly different than the cruise ship terminals in terms of you're in the center of the city, you're in nice parts. Oh.
No, bad parts.
Right. But a couple of things that we do is we don't try and cover a whole lot of space in our itinerary. So we just go a very short distance. That allows us to get there fairly early in the morning before the big crowds, especially if we're in a place like, say, Dubrovnik, which is charming until the hordes get there. And then it's a tourist trap, and you don't necessarily love it when these people are there. So talking in terms of, say, a Dubrovnik, we get in there early when nobody's there. We stay there until we see the hordes coming from the north end, and if it gets crowded and miserable, we have our yacht that's anchored out, and you just tender back. You can do water sports, you can have a spa treatment, you can, kind of just play around on the yacht until you see those crowds leave again. And we stay in a port until usually 2 o'clock in the morning. And particularly in Europe, that makes a big difference because everything changes.
When the sun goes down.
Once the sun goes down and once the regular tourists leave, everything changes. The prices change, the attitude changes. Experience changes. A couple of things that we do, a lot of times our clients, and we are open dining, so you go when you want, you sit where you want. If everybody showed up at the same time, we have the wait staff to handle everybody and seat everybody. We have outdoor dining, and we use outdoor dining for everybody unless the weather's inclement, and then we have very lovely indoor dining. But a lot of our people will eat dinner and then go out and explore in town once the sun goes down. And since we're there until about 2 o'clock in the morning. If you don't want to do that, we do movies and concerts on the back of the yacht. We also have something very unique to us, which is sleeping topside, and I'll show you this in just a minute, where your room stewardess will make up a beautiful bed for you. We even give everybody Seadream pajamas with their name embroidered on them to take home with them. And you can sleep with your bedroom wall being, say, Cinque Terre or something like that. It just allows you to kind of eat, drink, and sleep the port.
Very nice, very nice. So one of the things that maybe if you're not looking at cruise itineraries all the time, to get to Capri from a normal big ocean ship vessel, you have to dock where? Naples?
Naples, and you've got to go on the hydrofoil with 2,500 of your best friends.
Let me tell you, if something's going to make you seasick, it would be that hydrofoil.
So much better to drop anchor right at the base of Capri and just go in there.
Absolutely.
Especially when you've got it exclusively before the hydrofoil starts running. You've got it exclusively for yourself.
Very good.
So ditto.
Yes. And it's yachting, not cruising.
It is yachting, not cruising. Yes, this is actually not the lifeboat for this.
That's a really good representation of what type of experience you'll get on a yacht compared to one of
And
those.
isn't she pretty? Isn't she pretty?
Yeah. All right, distinguishable differences. We have a lot of very similar brands up here. So what makes you distinguishably different from one another? We'll start with you, Sebastien.
Okay. Can I see the picture?
Yes, absolutely.
I brought them 30 pictures for 6 minutes at home. The difference is, all of us will have, very details that will make us different. When I was telling you a little bit earlier that on a river, you have things that are common to the ships. You see it here. The length of the ship is 135 meters. The width of the ship is 38 feet. So that's 11 meter 40. The question is after that, what do you do with this space that you have? Because also the height will be the same. What do you do with the construction of your ship? So we are fortunate enough that our president, who is Rudi Schreiner, he is a naval architect. So he has designed the ship. We know that we have the lowest draft possible, for example, and this can be something that becomes important if, in the event of a lower water situation. I know that all of you have heard of that, and I just want to demystify a little bit this whole thing because I was there last year. This low water situation, it affected about 0.8% of our cruising, which means that we're talking about 99.2% that went normal. So, of course, it was on TV, everybody talked about it, etc., but I just want to make you understand that all the time, or most of the time, it runs normally. But that's why you design your ships a little bit differently, so that if a case like this happens, you can continue cruising when sometimes others will have some difficulties. Talking about the width of the ship, you see it's fine, we can go to the next one, because you see that we have quite a vast fitness center on this one. That's our AmaMagna, so that's what makes us really different from anybody else here, because she's double the width of any of these ships, which means that she will only be able to cruise on the Danube, because the Danube is the only river that accepts such a wide ship. So double the width, okay, so 72 feet for 440 feet long. Doesn't mean that we have also the double amount of guests. We have only a maximum number of guests that is 196 for 70 crew members. So that's also quite high crew to guest ratio, is 1 to 2.5. But it will allow you to have a juice and a wellness bar, which is a juice bar. You have a complete spa area. You have, so you see here the water sport platform in the back with a sundowner. You have the spin bikes, because you can have a spin class with a view, if we can say so. But it will also give you much larger accommodation. Half the ship is equipped with suites, and they go from 355 square feet to 710 square feet. So you have space, you have 4 dining venues, you have a movie theater. So we can also really bring this transitional aspect for people who have been on an ocean liner, but you're not sure yet if you want to go on rivers, because you've heard that the staterooms sometimes are a little small or something. Feel free to go on the AmaMagna. You will see that it's something that is completely different. Also, we always try to think ahead. We try to evolve. So you might think that this is just a little detail. It's a pop-up elevator that goes to the sun deck, which means that technically somebody who would have walking difficulties can really go anywhere, inside but also outside the ship. Because sometimes the reality is that to go in a city like Passau, for example, in Germany, to go on shore, you will have to go from the sun deck of the ship with her. You don't have any issue of going upstairs or something. So these are all these little details that I think will make us different. And this combines what happens on board the ship with what happens off the ship. So when we were talking about the different pace of excursions, about the different kinds of excursions, if you go to Budapest for the 3rd time, because the first time you went, you wanted to be sure, so you went the 2nd time, and the 3rd time you take your family with you. But the problem is that you know Budapest by heart. You know that you have 256 steps to go up to the castle in Buda, so you want to see something else. Well, we will bring you also different kinds of excursions, so that you always see a different aspect of the city in small groups. The maximum number of guests on a group excursion is 20. And that's very important, because when you visit a city like Vienna, for example, you have a 3.5-hour tour. There is no way you can interact with your local guide if you have a group of 50 people. So that's why we've reduced this number of people. That's also another difference.
Excellent, thank you. All right, Cindy, will you give us your distinguishable differences on the American waterways?
Sure. Okay, so being American, all of our ships are built here in the United States. They're 100% U.S. crewed and U.S. flagged. We are not allowed to leave the United States, so when you step on board, what you're going to get is a truly all-American experience. These are all the different features that we have. One of the big things I think is different for us, that we as Americans, we like big cars and big houses. Well, we have big hotel-style staterooms. On the new modern ships, they start at 250 square feet for a single cabin. They go up to 900 square feet. So they're very large. On the coastal ships, they start at 300 square feet to 600 square feet. And on the paddle wheelers, they're like 230 up to about 500 square feet. So they're very large size staterooms. Another thing that's different is we have these new modern river boats, which you see on the brochure cover that you received today. These have never been seen in the United States before. They are very similar to those river cruise ships in Europe. There are some differences. We're about 100 feet shorter in length, but we are wider because the locks here are much wider. We don't have as narrow locks to worry about. We're faster, quieter, extremely environmentally friendly. We have a very new patent-pending feature on these beautiful modern boats, and the mouth of the ship will open and the bow of the ship will come out. So if we don't have an actual docking platform to pull into, we can pull right into the embankment of the river. And we can open the mouth of the ship, extend the bow, and you can embark and disembark this way. So it's a pretty cool feature. So we can really go anywhere remote with these ships. At these new modern ships, we have 2 of them out now. We're getting ready to bring out the 3rd one early next year. They are like Porsches on the river. They just glide along the river. Very different than the paddle wheelers, which, make a little noise with the paddle, and they're a little square for us to pull in and dock. These are very, very simply for us, and actually make it easier when we're on the upper Mississippi, which tends to flood, getting under these bridges. On board, on the rivers, we've included, your featured daily shore excursions, hosted by local guides. We have your cocktail party every evening. We include beer and wine at lunch and dinner. We have Wi-Fi on board. Pretty much everything. We do have some upgraded tours that if you wish you can purchase. We have elevators available on the deck, all decks that go from bottom to top. These are hotel-style elevators. They are not the small elevators. They're nice, large elevators. Lots of it, I mean, we've tried to think of everything to make it as comfortable on board for you as possible. So what you're going to get an American experience. We have the historians, and we always have lectures on all kinds of things. We have artists on board. We're just trying to bring a real cultural experience to you as well as a historical experience as well.
Thank you. Lovely. All right, Monique, will you give us Crystal's distinguishable differences?
Well, I think one of the biggest distinguishable differences that we have at Crystal is the fact, as you saw at the very beginning, that we offer 4 different types of experiences on water, all under the Crystal umbrella. We're proud at Crystal. We just were awarded trifecta, as we say in the industry, with the Condé Nast Reader's Choice Awards. We made #1 for midship, #1 for river ship, and #1 for small ship. So our river and our yacht were named #1 by Reader's Choice. And that was important to us in the industry because those are awards given based on consumers that have traveled on the experiences and that they're rating them. It's not a paid award, as we say in the industry. When it comes to what separates us a little bit different from the river ships is the fact that we do have a brand new fleet. They do have very large staterooms for the Danube, Rhine, Main, and Mosel rivers. 70% of the ship, you saw the picture, is over 253 square feet. We have 106 guests on each of those ships, and with those 106 guests, they are servicing by 72 crew members. And this is in comparison to the industry where you can have as many as 160 to 180 guests on a ship, being serviced by only about 50 to 48 to 52 people. So it really does depend on the product. I know that Sebastien was talking about the new Alma Magna. And I have to say that prior to the Alma Magna coming out, Crystal Mozart, which we launched in 2016, was the hallmark in creating a river product that actually offered multiple dining options. So that's something that is across our river fleet, that we do have different restaurants that they can dine in an open dining style. So that is still something that we continue. And I have no doubt that knowing Rudy, that there will be many, many more of that design coming out. So I think you'll see the trend across river product in general. Because again, it goes back to how you want to travel and having those choices and not being funneled throughout the areas of the ship in kind of like a cattle call manner. And I think that the success that we had in opening up different options in the evening for meals, options for breakfast, whether you go into the main dining room or you go into the bistro, 24-hour room service, that 24-hour pantry that I mentioned, all of those have been warmly accepted by the industry. So I think that you'll continue to see that, and that is the same even with our yacht. You have the main dining room, but you have your grill, you've got your 24-hour room service, a pantry on there as well. The other thing that I think that is something that will set us apart is, ironically, the number of guests that are coming from other experiences, experiencing us, and then going into our ocean ships. We are pretty new to the river business. We came out in 2016. As did the yacht in 2016. Now our company's been around for over 30 years. We'll actually be having our 30th anniversary next year. But up until 2016, we were a couple of ocean ships that just kept chugging along, doing very, very well and keeping people happy. But now once we got into the river and the yacht, we have our new expedition ship coming out in August of 2020. So she will be 200 passengers, 200 crews, so it's a 1-to-1 ratio with that service level as well. But I think that that is something that really has resonated in the industry of the success that we're having. The shore excursions, I will kind of piggyback off what you said as well. We do believe in giving you the utmost experience that you can have, really immersing you into the areas. So something that we focused on is all of our motor coaches. They're basically 50-passenger coaches that have been customized to hold about 32 people. I'm 5'10". When I sit in my plush coach, I can't touch the seat in front of me. So you have plenty of room, complimentary Wi-Fi, But when we go off on shore excursions, we do not maximize more than 15 to 16 people in a shore excursion because we want to make sure, even though we have the whisper devices, we want you to be able to have that upfront, close, personal touch with your guides. We don't like to be the penguin walkers with the little paddle above our heads, you know, and we still do that. It was funny, I actually have a group with an agent on board this week, and he was sending me pictures, and he was teasing me because she had her little paddle to keep his people in check. There's about 26 of them, so they all went together, and they're a rowdy bunch, so she was keeping them all in check with her little paddle. But those are things that we definitely like to excel with, and that may not be the industry standard when it comes to the river or the yachting. Thank you.
Good. Karen, will you give us your distinguishable difference?
I will, but I've got to make a confession, and they were too nice to tell me I misunderstood the question. So,
I had the impatience, I did too, so I just ignored my slides.
but this is fun. This is kind of fun because I'm taking your traditional cruising and showing how we're different. So this is embarkation when you're cruising. This is embarkation when you're yachting.
Yep.
I like our pool party, cruising pool party, yachting beach party down up here, your cruising beach party down here. And what more? Since I didn't understand the question, we'll go with it anyway. I love this. You've seen people try and do the sleeping topside experience. How embarrassing for her. Much better to have your room service make up your bed, give you your pajamas, and let you go. So that's, yeah, just go one more because I might have actually understood after that, but maybe not.
No, that's not.
Oh, that's what, okay.
These are great slides.
I think that fits really well with,
So it's kind of a fun look.
will you explain the beach party? I think that could use a little bit of explanation of what you do for your beach party.
Absolutely, absolutely. We do it in the Caribbean, and that's one thing, you know, we're a little bit closer to home because half the year we're in the Caribbean, half the year we're in the Mediterranean. But when we're in the Caribbean, we do our beach barbecue and champagne and caviar splash, and that's where the captain will sound the horn on the yacht. They'll post a flag in the water. They have a surfboard that's set up with champagne and all the caviar and accoutrements, and you get served fine champagne in the water, waist deep here on a surfboard.
Ditto.
And, yeah. They copied though, let me tell you.
We did.
But then we have our beach barbecue, which is the most lavish thing that you could imagine. Probably theirs is more lavish, but we have a lavish barbecue where they, you know, prepare everything basically on the yacht, bring it back, but we do the barbecue meats and that type of thing on shore. One thing I can tell you, we do not have butlers. We have cabana boys in shorts.
You can see my butler in shorts.
I love it. Thank you very much. And
Yeah, we're gonna duke it out.
even though it's not necessarily what you thought that the question was, I think that was an excellent
It was
representation.
okay.
Because I think most of us, how many have done big ship ocean cruising?
Did you relate to what I was saying?
So you can actually get the idea here, so I really like that, I appreciate that. Javier,
Yes.
will you give us your distinguishable differences of Viking?
Sure. So our chairman and founder, Torstein Hagen, he constantly references to Viking as the thinking person's cruise, and not the drinking person's cruises, right? Little tongue in cheek there, but everything that we do on board revolves around that. That is the theme for the onboard and onshore experience. So we want to make sure our guests can taste, touch, and feel, understand some of the customs and cultures of the regions that you're sailing into, taking our guests into theaters or museums, or tasting the regional cuisine, enjoying the regional wines. What's the best way to learn? By taste, touch, and feeling. So from whether it's river, whether it's ocean, or whether now it's expedition, you're going to find that theme across the overall Viking experience for the thinking person's cruise there. I don't think I don't know. That's the only slide. Yeah, so run home with that. Yep.
Very good, thank you. All right, so destinations. We want to know, we've learned a little bit about the type of travel you do, but will you give us your favorite destination or maybe something that you've done with your brand that you can tell us about? We're going to start with Sebastien. Where do you go? What do you do? What's your favorite?
That's where we go. So, as you can see, most of our destinations are in Europe. Okay, we are present as of today, we're present on 13 different rivers. We offer 33 different itineraries. Technically, all the little black dots that you see, these are excursions, places where we will go. Okay, so you see the European map, and then up there, and on the top right corner, you see also Africa and Asia, because we're also present on the Mekong, and in Africa we're present on the Chobe River. So I have not been on the Chobe River. This is a very, very popular program. The ship is also very, very different from anything else because it only has 28 guests.
Wow.
And I really, if you want to go there in Africa, this is between Botswana, northern Botswana, and Namibia. And there are a lot of experiences there, so I'm not going to start talking about all the African programs. But
Can I just
ask
tell you,
Amanda.
if you have to go anywhere, go to Botswana and Namibia.
Ask Amanda. And now, so there will be other rivers coming. We will keep you informed because I just need a few more weeks, but you will know soon.
Exciting newness
Yes.
coming.
Now, my favorite destination in all these, first of all, I told you earlier, it's not really relevant what my favorite destination is, because that should be yours, but my favorite is when you start a cruise, Christmas time cruise, you start in Amsterdam, you finish in Basel, so in Switzerland. Okay, and then we have another post extension in Lucerne in Zurich. And so when you arrive in Zurich, you have two Christmas markets. And one is at the Opera Square, and the other one is in the train station. So it's like, why would you put a Christmas market in the train station? Because they can. And the train station has this huge front porch, really massive, and they build a little village in there. So they put a 100-foot tree in there. They decorate it with 7,000 Swarovski crystals. And you go there, and don't forget, there is no security system here because you're in Switzerland. So you can walk around with, that's the only place on earth where you will walk around with your wallet in the back and nothing will happen to your wallet. So that's also a beautiful thing. But you just walk there, and you have so you walk through this little village, and you have your raclette cheese, so which is really the raclette, and it's to shave. So that's hot cheese, so the cheese is approximately big like this. They shave it, approximately 15,000 calories.
Zero on vacation.
But it's cold outside, so you need that. And you walk around, you have them all going around, and you're just enjoying your time there. That's really one of my, and you can go to to the top of a mountain in a gondola. They have what they call a cabriole gondola. So that's a cable car that will take you up. That's in Lucerne. And it's open air. So it's a convertible. And you go up there, so you go to 8,000 feet in the air. So these are the little experiences that you will be able to have. That's my favorite spot to go.
I love it. We're actually doing a group that's doing that, and several of the people are staying after doing something in this room. So very good. All right. American Cruise Line. Cindy, will you give us your favorite destination
Okay,
that you go to?
well, here's the map of the United States. So we have 35 itineraries covering 30 states. So how many of you have been to every state? One person, two? Three people?
Oh, wow.
Okay. Well, I've got.
How many states are there?
So as you can see from the map, that we cover the Pacific Northwest with the Columbian Snake, Puget Sound, and Alaska. Then on the East Coast here, the Hudson, New England, Maine Coast, Chesapeake Bay, our historic South. We also have the entire Mississippi, starting in New Orleans all the way to Minneapolis, and then the tributaries, the Ohio and Cumberland rivers. So I can guarantee that there's some cities in there that you have not been to that have some historical value or something great done in history. You're always learning something. For myself, I wish I could have done all of these itineraries, but I have not. Our ship stayed fairly full all the time. Seriously, they're very small, and if you want to go, then you need to go. Usually our guests, once they've done one, they come back and do multiple. We post the number of cruises our guests do. Some of them done 12 or more. It's really amazing. So some they may have duplicated or whatever, but they really enjoy themselves and come back. Last year in December, I was on the lower Mississippi. I left in early December out of New Orleans, and believe it or not, it was 80 degrees. And New Orleans, where we stayed, we have a pre-night hotel, and it's in a great location. You can walk to everything if you want to. At that time of year, it was all decorated for Christmas. You've got the trolley cars, all the beautiful homes, all decorated and everything. One of the stops there was the hummus house. Have any of you ever been to the hummus house? Okay, you might have been on my cruise.
No, I'm just from
You
New
look really
Orleans.
familiar to me. I keep looking at you, you look familiar to me. So anyway, that was just one of my favorite. I took a lot of pictures there, but it is a plantation home, a lot of history, and they had it, of course, all decorated for Christmas, and it was one of my favorite that I've been to on that itinerary. Of course, what's neat about our programs is that we have all these little niche places that you wanted to go but are not the easiest to go to, like Martha's Vineyard, Block Island, some really intricate little ports that, yeah, you're going to get to. You're going to get around to it someday. But what's nice is you get on the ship, it's easy. We're going to take you all these places. You're not going to pack and unpack and all that nonsense. You're going to go and see all of these destinations. So I want to mention, too, that we cover just the United States, but we do have a sister company, Pearl Seas, and it's one coastal ship. It is 210 passengers, and that ship will take you into Canada from the United States. So we do the Canadian Maritimes and St. Lawrence Seaway. We do the Great Lakes in the Georgian Bay, which is really popular. That goes from Milwaukee to Toronto. We do the Maine Coast and Canadian Harbor. So it does some really nice itineraries, again, on a small ship, taking you close to home. That's our motto, is keeping you close to home, but seeing new things that you may have not seen before.
Love it, thank you. And I love that both of you are talking about, holiday itineraries as being extraordinary itineraries, the things that you can go see and do during the holidays, because the places that you're going to, they decorate as well. So I was just in New Orleans for Christmas last year as well.
It's fun.
It was spectacular to see the decorations and to go to the plantation homes and everything. So I love that, thank you. All right, Monique, will you give us, where you go?
We do the world. Depending upon what our experience is, depends on where we travel. With our ocean ships, we literally go around the globe. We have world cruises that will encompass from start to finish a full encompassment of the world itself. We offer those in segments. The yacht, she's going to be, as I mentioned earlier, Adriatic, the Mediterranean, Greek Isles, Seychelles, Arabian Peninsula. We were doing the Caribbean for a period of time. The river ships are on the Danube, Rhine, Main, and Mosel rivers in Europe. And the new expedition ship, she'll actually be starting in Japan next year, working her way all the way through Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, and then finishing her first season in Antarctica. After that, she's going to wrap back up in the reverse direction, do the northeast passage from Russia over into Norway, and then we're going to have some European sailing, South American, and then finish doing some Alaska, back down into Antarctica. So we really truly do the world. People will say, well, where do you start from? All over the place, guys. So really there should be something in our wheelhouse that when you are ready to travel and you have that idea in mind, when you talk to your Roseborough advisors, they're going to be able to kind of help you with what your needs are, how you like to travel, and then pair you with the right experience of, hopefully it'll be a Crystal product, it better be, or it'll be some other partner that definitely matches what you are specifically looking for in your next vacation. And then as far as my favorites go, let me see, what slide did I use this time? Oh, there was only one slide for that?
For that.
Oh, I thought we were talking about our favorite place.
You are, it might be somewhere later, but.
Oh, okay. It must be somewhere else ever. So I know we had Austria and the Eden. I don't know. Where in the world is Monique? I don't know. I'm in the world.
I love it. Well, if I can say anything about the fun things to hear about in our office, we all love talking to each other at the end of the day, catching up and going, this is what we helped this client with today. This is what they're planning. This is what we're working on. And Tiffany is the one in our office that consistently is the world cruise expert, the grand voyage expert. So she has always a group of people who are looking at grand voyages that are the segments, or a world cruise that does the 100 days, you know, going around the globe. And those are the most extraordinary things to actually watch from our perspective. Tiffany's working with them, but we're all listening. And we're going, that's so cool. That is so cool. These are all the things that they're getting prepared for to do, and the destinations that they're going to. So that's really amazing. Thank you for bringing that up. All right. Karen with Seadream, will you tell us?
We do the world.
How dare you?
We do the world as well. Now, these ports are showing you where our expedition ship is going, and we're basically going pole to pole to pole to pole. So instead of going around the circumference, we're doing pole to pole. And just about anywhere in the world except over there in California, we do it. Okay. So, and then this actually does not include our European voyages or our Caribbean voyages, but that's all of the Mediterranean and all the Caribbean, Eastern and Southern Caribbean. So we hit all 7 continents.
Okay, so I have a question for both of you, really, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot with this, but when you're doing world cruises and you have sea days, do you have more sea days, less sea days? How does that work? And then I know with yachting especially, you've got coastline cruising. How does it work for seasickness? And I'm sorry to put you on the spot and not have given you any sort of heads up.
No problem. I can tell you with our expedition ship, we are being built in a really innovative shipyard, and they have figured out yachts actually these days have gyro stabilizers, and you know your bowl that you give your grandkids crackers on in and it never spills. That's the concept, is the gyro stabilizers. So we're good there. We're good with the classics because we go during the night. During the night. We don't leave until 2 o'clock in the morning. You take your Ambien and you wake up at 6 in the morning. But since we do coastal cruising, that's nice and smooth, and we don't have issues.
Excellent. And then also on the river perspective, oftentimes people who are so worried about ocean ship seasickness, the rivers. Anybody with any issues on the rivers? No way.
You don't even know the ship is moving sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, unless
There's always land
nudge the lock. Then you're like, oh, we're the lock.
And as you had asked about the longer, when we have sea days. Well, first with our yacht, we keep her close to the shore because she's not, in that regard, a seagoing vessel. In fact, when we were transitioning her from the Caribbean back to the Adriatic each season, she did go empty, except with our staff, and it was kind of a joke that they took a lot of bonine and Dramamine to get across there, because she was about a 12-foot draft on that. If anybody who's into boating, you know that that's not a deep draft on a vessel to be going across the Atlantic. So we are keeping her much more coastal and hugging that coast. As far as our expedition ship goes, we actually own our shipyards in Germany. So all of our ships that are being built new, including our river ships that have come out, are being built by us ourselves and funded by us at Crystal. So with the new expedition, they have self-propulsion systems, talking about all the gyros and bouncing on this, but we can literally stay stabilized in an area of water without dropping an anchor. And that also enables us to go to places and destinations that for years were unable to be visited because of the protection of the ground floors and things like that. With our ocean ships, when we are doing these world cruises and we're going to different destinations, something that Crystal's always had that was always very popular, and it's funny with our guests that have been traveling with us for the years prior to us expanding into other areas of business, they loved our sea days because everything that we offer on board our ocean ships is included. You all raised your hand that you've done ocean cruising. Well, you get those guides each day about what there is to do on board, and everything's got a little star next to it because there's extra fees included, right? Crystal doesn't do that. So when we have sea days, we have anywhere from 2 to 3 educational lectures. We have different types of programs and activities, dance classes. We have different types of computer courses. We have a whole computer, state-of-the-art computer classroom. Music lessons, art and painting lessons, what we call enrichment activities. So we have all of that included on our sea days. With our shorter, or I should say our yacht voyages, we don't have sea days because we are hugging the coast. It's very similar to river. I had somebody who never cruised river before and they said, well, will we have any sea days? And I was like, how do I answer that? But you're going from city to city, and that's very similar with our yacht product as well. So you're not going to have sea days. But with the expedition, with our ocean ships, we do that, and we have it chalked through with our experts on the areas that we're traveling, doing lectures that are relevant to the destinations that you're going through, and then also having the additional enrichment activities that we can offer so that when you get off the ship, not only have you gone to a beautiful destination and experienced the culture, but maybe along the way, you learned how to play the piano or learn to do watercolors as well, especially on those longer voyages. And Tiffany, because you deal with grand voyages, that's a lot of days at sea. We have a 139-day world cruise. When I say something, I guarantee you, we talk about movies in the room. We've got 84, 89 movies on demand in our 42-inch flat screen TVs, and someone says, who goes on a cruise to watch movies? People that do 21-day and longer cruises. They will lay in their room, have the butler bring in their dinner one night, and they will watch movies in their room, or they want to do something beyond just sitting and reading a book or eating at one of the multiple restaurants on board. So we have a lot of activities. You won't get bored on sea days, I promise you.
All right, so Javier, tell me where Viking goes. Where's your favorite?
Everywhere.
For the rivers that you're seeing here, it's the 6 main regions that we sail into all across Europe, Ukraine, Russia, China, Southeast Asia, and Egypt, with our 72 river vessels out there now floating and continuing to grow. So well-diverse set of itineraries. Now we connect with Roseborough. It seems overwhelming, but the advisors here could literally hold your hand and help you to select what's best for you all. Do I have another slide on this?
Not on this one.
Not on this one? No. So
I think it's extraordinary to, and you all may not have picked up on this because you don't read these brochures like every single day like we do, but it's nice for us to pick up and go, this cruise line goes to this destination, this cruise line goes to that destination. Because even amongst the river cruises here, they all have somewhere different that they go. So it's a lot about bringing you to the destination that you're looking for, and that's how we can, one of the ways we can help focus.
and the magic with Roseborough, it's like you may have an idea or a thought of where you want to go, but then they surprise you with like, have you ever thought of this? And this is the reason why, because you fit this to the T. So,
And that's why you use your advisors. So.
yes.
Thank you. All right, so we've talked about where you go. It sounds like we can cover the world with our vendors up here, so that's excellent. But okay, rock bottom, what is included? We want to know because it's not what you pay up front. It's what the credit card costs at the end of the trip. So what is included? Will you share with us? Because I know most of you are very inclusive. So what is included? Sebastian, you are first.
Well, I think it will be easier to say what is not included, because that will be way shorter. Because the only things that are not included as far as I'm concerned for AmaWaterways are if you want to use our spa services, if you want a massage, if you use the hairdresser salon, the shop, because obviously the shop is for shopping, ladies and gentlemen. And after that, we have, I mentioned briefly at the beginning that we have a wellness host. All our wellness hosts on board, I mean, they run a program that is parallel to the excursion program, and this program in general is completely included as well. But if they're all certified fitness hosts, and if you absolutely want to have a one-on-one lesson with the fitness host, that will not be included. You see different restaurants, so all the restaurant experiences are included because, and I have to contradict you, Monique, I'm sorry, but we really had multiple dining experience from the very beginning of the launches.
They might be joking it up.
But they're all included. You don't have to worry about that. The tours are included. Even when it comes to gratuities, for example, they are not included in the base price. But if you ask, any of the ladies and say, look, I would like to have it included in the price, they will add it so that you don't have to worry about anything when you're on the ship. That's the same thing. I guess we're all about approximately the same. You register your credit card, but you will see that you will not have a lot of expenses at the end. Because if we give you a price, that's what you're paying. If it's to have double the price at the end, it doesn't make sense. What we include, because the question, actually I'm very surprised, we have not even talked about alcohol and I know that you guys don't drink alcohol, so that's okay.
Not a soul was drinking wine.
But I just want to mention, we do not have drink packages, and it's for a very good reason, because when you're on the river, most of the time during the day, you will be outside the ship, it would be, I think, very, very difficult to justify the price of a drink package on a river cruise ship, especially since on board our ships, so you will have the champagne included at breakfast. You will have, and it's unlimited. We even created something called champagne yoga, which is a yoga class. And you go there and you have your little champagne at 6:30 a.m. It's just to activate the system. Then after that, wine, beer, soft drinks, etc. That's all included for lunch and dinner. Then we have also every day 1 hour before dinner, and I'm not saying from 6 to 7 because as you've understood, it has also to be flexible when it comes to dining. You're not here to arrive and we don't have a bell that says, hey guys, time to go for dinner. We don't do that. But 1 hour before the restaurants open, you have what we call sip and sail. So that's technically an open bar, but sip and sail sounds much nicer. And you will have the possibility, I call it more the social hour. You've been touring, you're with your friends, they went to Český Krumlov, like Javier was showing a little bit earlier. The others went to the Salzkammergut, to the Austrian Lake District, and the others went to Salzburg. You come at the end of the day, you will have your Cosmopolitan or God knows, and you discuss about that. And I can tell you that once you've included all these drinks already that are included here, not sure that you will drink much more than that. So that's why we don't have this drink package.
Wonderful. Cindy, tell us a little bit about what's included or what's not included, if it's a shorter list, which I'm sure it is. So
Yes. Okay. Well, of course, with your cruise package, we're including your gratuities, beer and wine at lunch and dinner, cocktail party every evening, featured tours hosted by local guides, also your entertainment, your lecturers, historians, pretty much everything. If you're doing a Mississippi, Columbian snake, or an Alaska program, we always include 1 night pre-hotel with the transfer. What we do not include is your airfare, but usually it's not too bad for your air to fly domestically. So pretty much everything. What would be additional for you is if you chose to do the premium tours, which are available. Those run from $20 to $70, and you can purchase those on board. And then we have signature tours that may be offered once or twice during the sailing. These are more behind the scene type tours, like at the Boonville Dam, or if you did the jet boat tour through Hell's Canyon out on the Columbian Snake, or maybe the helicopter ride in Alaska. Those would be considered signature tours. Those are ones that have to be booked ahead of time and are more limited. And those your agent would have to book for you. But pretty much everything on board our ships, we do not have swimming pools, and we do not have spas, and we don't have hairdressers. However, if the ladies needed a hairdresser, we can bring someone on or request it. We have concierge service that we can do these kinds of things for you as well. And you are in the USA. If you didn't like our tour that we offered, or if you knew somebody in a destination that were going to, maybe a family or some friend or a friend, you know, we've got Uber. These things we can help arrange for you. So, you know, you're just close to home, you're comfortable in this atmosphere, you're here in America. So it's not like being in Europe where you're not sure of things. So it's just a very easy experience. Let's put it that way.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And it sounds like the things that were not included are things that we really don't necessarily need, because we all get hair done before we go on a cruise, right?
Yes. And there's plenty of food for you. There's Wi-Fi. If you needed any kind of medical services, I mean, we don't have a doctor on board. Our crews are trained with CPR and the defibrillators. We can pull right over, we can call a doctor, a dentist, or whatever. That's the same with the other river cruise lines. They don't usually have doctors unless they're in Russia or something, but we just, you know, pull right over. So it's easy.
I think that that's something very important too. When you look at the overview of river cruising in general, how close you are to literally pull over. It's like pulling a vehicle over, a car over.
Yeah.
You just pull over and the cruise lines, every single one that's up here is extraordinary, and they all have had to deal with it, unfortunately, but they all know what the emergency practice is to deal with it. So,
And we usually have a lot of guests that are doctors or dentists sailing with us too. So.
very good. Monique, what is included or what isn't included? What's included?
Yeah, I would say it's probably easier to say what is not included, and it does range a little bit different between the experiences. If we're talking about river and yacht specific, what is not included is the submarine on the yacht is not included. If we're dealing with river, we do have a vintage room, which is a food and wine pairing dining venue in the evening, and we also have lunches that we do. That is not included. Spa treatments would not be included. Everything else is included. Gratuities, your Wi-Fi, the butler service, fine wines, champagnes, and top shelf liquor. I would beg to differ that some people definitely like to partake in their beverages, so I'll just put it into one package for you, so to speak. Transfers to and from the vessels, day of embark and debark, are included in that pricing as well. Your shore excursions are included. The one thing that we mentioned prior are that we do have some limited space excursions in some of our ports, and those would be at an upcharge. Ocean does not include shore excursions, and we can definitely talk about why we don't do that later on versus why we do with our expedition, river, and yacht. But it's kind of easier to say that we pretty much include everything that you could possibly want on board. Your daily activities and programs, those are all included as well. So literally you don't pull out your card for anything except to open the doors to your stateroom, and we're working on that so you don't even have to do that. So we'll get there so you won't have to do that ever. It's a thumbprint, yeah.
Karen, what is or what is not included?
Well,
Tell us the easiest.
This is all included. What's not included are our spa treatments, our Wi-Fi, because it's really bad and you won't want to pay for it anyway, but I pay really up for it. But we also don't include some of our shore excursions. We include some of them, but some of them are kind of limited, what do you call it?
Limited space.
Limited space. We keep it to right around 15 people, and they would be like swimming with the dolphins or cooking class in Tuscany or something like that. But other than that, everything is included. Our tipping's included. What's interesting is you have no mechanism to tip other than what you've already paid. So there are no white envelopes. There's nobody who's kind of going. Tipping's all included.
Very good. So gratuities, wine, lunch, and dinner. Very good. Thank you. Yoga and Tai
Open bar.
Chi. Open bar.
Tai Chi, yoga,
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you.
water sports.
Ditto.
Is the night?
Sleeping under the stars is included.
Oh, that's so great. Thank you. And those great PJs that you're going to
Pajamas,
Yeah,
everybody
boy,
gets them
shorts.
as a pillow gift, yeah. everybody gets them.
Excellent, thank you. And Javier, what is or what is not included? Give us the rundown.
So it's probably going to be easier what's not included. You can see the list of what is here. But not included are your optional tours. That's if you're looking to do more than our included tours, we do sell optional tours, and that can range from $30 to a couple of $100 per person if you're doing the helicopter tour kind of deal. Also not included are cocktails or spirits. We do include the unlimited wine, beer, and soda during meals, but if you're looking for the martini or for the 24-year-old whiskey, that's not included. You can purchase individually or purchase a beverage package. So you have options. Beverage package is very reasonable, $22 per person per day for that. Not included gift shop items, not included gratuities. Gratuities are automatically added to the ship bill and you can adjust as needed. For river, the cost is 15 euros per person per day for gratuities, and if you're doing the tours, the recommended amount is 2 euros per person for the guide and €1 for the bus driver if there's a driver involved. Outside of that, everything else is pretty much included there. But I kind of like it, it's not even a list up here, but it's walking into the bathroom and you have that heated tile floor right there. It's just like a simple thing, right? Turn it on and it's nice and warm tile bathroom floors there. So yeah, little things.
I wanted to mention something else too. If you're in destinations, like you're out on the Columbian Snake, you bought a nice bottle of wine in the Columbia Valley, or you bought the Mississippi, some bourbon, scotch, whiskey, whatever, you can bring it on board and have it. There's no forging fee or anything. We don't take your liquor away like they do on the big ships. So have at it.
Very good. Could you all, and I'm sorry to do this too, again, putting you on the spot, will you, with a raise of hands, just tell us who has Wi-Fi included? Wi-Fi included, and who has a beverage package of some sort included? All of it. I mean, like beer, wine,
We're everything.
just everything included. So drinks included, Wi-Fi included, and gratuities included. Okay, very good.
Do you notice the hand went up like all across?
Very good. That helps, I think, because we just heard a lot of inclusions and non-inclusions, and that's nice to know. I know, Sebastien, you said we can include the gratuities up front so that people don't have to worry about it. And the same with Viking, we can prepay gratuities. So if you work with your agent, we can kind of talk to you and discuss what's available to you and what's not.
What also helps to offset those extra costs, there's times with Roseborough, we'll turn on shipboard credits, and with those additional shipboard credits, then you can apply it to gratuities, beverage package, optional tours, all that good stuff to help offset those additional costs for you.
Absolutely, that's something that people always ask us, well, if everything's included, or almost everything's included, what do we do with this shipboard credit? You go shopping, or you buy those gifts, or you do the spa service, and that's a great time to be able to use the added amenities that we, alongside of our partners, are able to give to you because of special promotions that we're able to offer. So, excellent. Special experiences. A special experience on board with AmaWaterways. Will you kind of give us an idea? You've kind of talked about some of them, but now we're going to show them.
On board, there are many special experiences on board. I mean, it comes to, we could talk about, I mean, when I see this picture, for example, I would not even focus on the bar or anything on the swimming pool. I would just talk about, we all have these devices that are called quiet box, and these are devices that are very important when you're going on shore excursions, because they will allow you, these are receivers that will allow you to hear what your guide is saying without being 3 feet behind the guide trying to understand what he or she says. But we have that also included on the ship. So this means that when the ship is cruising, you have the possibility on board to basically hook up your receiver to the ship system, and you will have a GPS triggered commentary, so that anywhere you are, if there's a point of interest that shows up, you will hear about it. And then special experiences by the chef's table. So that's one of our restaurants on board. So more intimate under the main dining room. So as you can see here, it's live cooking. It's a tasting menu. So we have 10 different courses. It's a wine pair dinner. So we have space for 28 guests in the aft of the ship. So it's included. You don't have to pay anything extra for that. The only thing we ask our guests here is to reserve. But it's accessible to everyone. As I said, 28 guests at a time. So if you do that on 7 nights, you exceed greatly the maximum number of guests that we have on board. I've seen guests myself eating there 3 times during the week. Not sure I would have done that because the menu is the same every day, so that everybody gets the experience. But they loved it. They went there 3 times. Well, good for them. They enjoyed it.
Can you reserve it on the first day of the cruise? You don't have to reserve it in advance?
Actually, what happens on the first day of, no, exactly, the head waiter will come on embarkation day and already give you the options or offer you, would you like to go tonight, or tell us when you want to go. So it's really a thing that you can do last minute. I think it's important to be able to do things when you arrive on the ship, because nowadays, I mean, everybody wants you to check in online, to do this ahead of time. It is important to remember that when it comes to excursions now, you don't have to do it ahead of time. You don't have to worry, at least I'm talking for us, you don't have to worry that there will be no space for you on this or this tour. Okay, that's designed, it's good for us to know if you want to go somewhere. But there is one type of excursion that we have, it's called special interest tours. So these are these tours where I told you a little bit earlier, if you've been 3 times in the same destination, you will want to see something else. But in our experience, people who go on special interest tours, as soon as they reach special interest, they will want to go there. Even if they don't know, they have no idea what it is. But it's not the main tour, so they will want to go there. So no worries, take your time. When you come on board the ship, your cruise director will be there and explain all the different tours, and you will have the possibility to change your mind or to sign up for these tours. There will be no problem.
Thank you. Cindy, special experience.
Okay, so what we can do is a lot of themed cruises with these destinations. So this gentleman here is actually one of our historians, and we do, out on the Columbian Snake, we do the Lewis and Clark themed cruises, and we also do the culinary and wine on the Columbian Snake. So we integrate those things, more highlights on the tours and more emphasis on the experience of what Lewis and Clark, their famous journey out there. So all this will come to life for you. We're going to stop at Port Clatsop, one of the places they stopped in the summer of 1605. All this history you're going to learn. If you're on the Mississippi, you're going to get the Civil War themed cruise. Not every sailing is a themed cruises, but we have quite a few of them. We have the Civil War theme, so there's a lot of Civil War themed buffs, and it's really quite a story to tell. I mean, you're always going to keep learning about the Civil War. There's so much there. Also, you've got the music, jazz, and blues there on the lower Mississippi. On the upper Mississippi, you've got Mark Twain, Huck Finn, Tom Sawyer, Becky Thatcher, that whole thing. On the upper Mississippi, on the East Coast, we've got the Lobster Bake and the Crab Fest themed cruises, which we do on our Maine and our New England programs all summer. So we're going to have a really great experience with these lobster bakes, which we do out on the beach, and we bring in a company, and they do the whole lobster bake with the seaweed and everything. They show you how they do that. You're going to get a lot of lobster during your sailing. And then we'll do the Christmas theme, which we do on the Chesapeake Bay in December. We do it on the lower Mississippi in our historic South. And our Puget Sound and San Juan during the month of April, we'll do tulip time, because we will take the guests, of course, via motor coach up to Vancouver to the wonderful Bouchard Gardens. And then let's see, then we've got the fall foliage right now on the Hudson River. Absolutely beautiful. We go out of New York for 7 nights. Really great ports, Albany, Sleepy Hollow, West Point, all these great places. So we bring the themes in, which really adds to your overall experience.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, and then this is for special experiences with our products. So with the yacht, You heard me mention the submarine. As long as you're not claustrophobic, it's kind of an amazing thing to see. It goes 100 feet down and you actually get to coast along the seafloor. With our new expedition ship, we'll also have a submersible as well that will actually hold 6 passengers versus the 2 passengers that the yacht sub holds. One of the, couple of the neat things that we do offer on river is that vintage room. It is a food and wine pairing room, and that is something that does have an additional fee to it. But we offer it in some ports where we have a 4-course during the day for a lunch, so it's like a sampling. And then we also have the 7-course dinner at night. And it is quite a feat and a fest. I'm not too much into wines in general, but I did it when we were on our ocean ship when I was in Alaska recently, and it is absolutely a spectacular experience to have. We do on our river ships what we call a signature experience on every voyage. And one of the things that was my favorite, and actually may come up later as one of the favorite places, but when I did Austria, when we did Vienna, we happened to have had the signature event when we were on that river ship that week at the Belvedere Palace. So whenever you travel on one of our river ships, we have a private experience, and I know that others up here do the same similar kind of things. It just depends on where they go, what they have exclusives with, etc. But I'm kind of a classical music geek, and a lot of people with the company did not realize that. It was actually on a company outing, and they were kind of laughing at me because I was like the first person on the bus, and then I was the first person in the museum, and then I was the first person sitting in the front row, and we have that slide somewhere. You'll get to see the pictures that we actually took while we were there. So it's a really neat experience across our river ships that, again, it goes into that immersible feeling of when you are traveling the rivers and doing something that is not as touristy, as some people say, as you would have when you're going to, the museums during the day, etc. We literally close the Belvedere down, and it's just the group of people that is coming from the ship to do this, and you have a private experience in doing that. So we offer a lot of different unique things, as all of us do. And again, I will sound like a broken record, but that's what you have your advisors for. They're going to hone in on what it is that you hold dear to your heart when you travel, or what it is, like why do you want to go to Austria? Why is that on your bucket list? Or why do you want to go to Switzerland? And as they drill down as to why the purposes are for you to go there, they're going to be able to pair you with the product that's best going to suit you. I've got a lot of Austrian in my heritage and my history, so going to Austria, not only is it one of the most beautiful cities in the world, in my opinion, with the architecture and the cultural experiences, but then to be able to pair it with a classical music experience, which is very dear to me, it was just that magic moment that you can go back and that's a memory for the lifetime.
You're probably a big Strauss fan.
I like Bach, actually. I mean, everyone was, again, they were laughing at me. It was quite funny, so, yeah. It's on the nose like that.
We have, once again,
I missed this question.
But just to tell you, we do have outdoor dining. Look how beautiful these tables are. Your dining room wall changes every night. But I'm going to tell you 2 experiences that we have. First of all, this looks very weird, this plate that says nothing. This was brought to me after they asked me what I wanted for dessert. My husband wanted something. I said nothing, and they brought it with a little cloche over it, and that's what they served me. And this, I can relate to so well, this middle picture there, this is, that's not me, but no, she forgot her reading glasses at dinner. So you just tell them and they come with a little box of every prescription and... But we just kind of intuitive as to what you need, and one day I'll tell you the story of the chocolate bonbons, but not tonight.
Oh yeah, I can tell you about the chocolates.
Javier.
Yeah, there's a lot with us, but I think this what's unique is we do a signature taste up one night in the restaurant, and it's a complete takeover of the dining room. This is Taste of Germany here. We bring on the tables are all preset. You have the Polish beers going around. You have the accordion player. The staff is all dressed up, and again the authentic cuisine as well too. So you'll find that on all of our itineraries, whether you're sailing on the Douro, sailing in Egypt or you're sailing on the Mekong, you'll find a signature taste of that in the restaurant there. So a lot of fun, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and last but not least, we're going to ask you, because it's going a little bit long, and you've done a wonderful job, but we're going to cut it. We're going to ask you if you tell us what should we know that maybe we didn't tell them yet, and if you have any sales and promotions going on that you know off the top of your head to share with them. And first up is Sebastian. You've got 30 seconds to tell us what we should know.
Oh, 30 seconds, great. So if you want to know about the special, ask your travel advisors. Because we have a lot of them going on, but I think at the moment, what is interesting, we offer for 2020, I mean, also for 2019, if you want to cruise until the end of the year, feel free to go see them. They will be more than happy to have you going. So these are just pictures of our AmaWaterways. So that's really unique ship once again, and you can see that now. End of 2019 and 2020, we offer on select dates either free air or 2-for-1 in business, which is a good thing. When you travel around the world, traveling in business class is very nice because you arrive, you have been sleeping or resting at least a little more. Maybe you had 2 or 3 champagnes during the flight. That's something that is very nice. We have, of course, different offers on staterooms that they will always be happy to talk to you about. On some destinations, Mekong for 2020, and on select dates, we offer what we call the triple savings, where you can save up to $2,000 on a stateroom. You will have a complimentary upgrade and $100 of onboard credit. And I agree with Javier that this onboard credit can be used after that for the few expenses that you would have. What else should you know? But to know that, come on our ships and then you will discover everything. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, Cindy, American Cruise Line, what should they know? And what promos do you have next year? I don't have one.
Oh, you don't have one. Okay, well, what we should know, we plan ahead if you'd like this experience because the ships are small. This is a huge demographic that we cater to, and if you want to go, you really need to book ahead. You're going to get the best pricing and the best availability. Right now, we have our programs out, our itineraries through the end of 21, so we're giving you ample opportunity to plan ahead. We do have a show special, which is $600 per stateroom. It's a discount. It's not combinable with anything else. But if you want to get some of your friends together, maybe you do a small group. A group is 10 passengers, and you can travel together. This is a great product to travel with your friends, and you're going to meet new friends, and you're going to want to travel with, and you can go again and again and again, and you know, see our beautiful country this way.
And I mentioned how great the yacht is, so if you want to get on it anytime next year, you need to act extremely fast. We have a lot of our sailings that are already sold out into 2020, so we are already selling as far out as 2021, beginning of 2022. So definitely do not delay. When your advisor tells you book early, they really do mean it. We do have some special river pricing for our November, December. You know, we have some Christmas markets, but November is when, you know, it starts getting cooler there, but all the Christmas markets aren't completely opened yet, or they haven't opened. We've got luxury cruising in a veranda suite for as low as $25.99 per person inclusive. So those flyers are back there. We also have some very limited space left on Tulip Time for the beginning, you know, March, April of next year as well. So those flyers are back there. We do have a promotion that's being offered 2 weeks starting tomorrow with Roseborough, over 150 voyages across the ocean, river, as well as the yacht, up to $1,000 per person off savings on river, and up to, actually it is $200 per person additional savings off of yacht and river when you book through Roseborough. With Roseborough, they are part of an industry organization called Travel Leaders. And with Travel Leaders on our ocean and our river, we also do have what they call voyage amenities, and they will be able to net you either shipboard credits. There's different voyages, especially popular with our ocean ships, where we don't include our shore excursions, where Their association will provide a complimentary shore excursion, cocktail parties, and things like that. So again, there's a lot of benefits, not just from the wealth of knowledge that Roseborough brings to the table for you as an advisor, but they also bring a good value for you in selling through us. I can't speak for all brands, but with Crystal, there's not a single reason not to use a travel advisor. You're not going to get a better price when you book through my company direct. My res agents are lovely in Miami and LA, but they're going to take your order and they're going to move on to the next one. You have your advocates and your advisors here at Roseborough, and again, these voyage amenities, for instance, is something that our direct teams cannot give you. So you are best behooved to be booking through your advisors to get the best price and offer with Crystal. Thank you.
Those are distinctive voyages and they're incredible. They offer some incredible added amenities.
Yep.
So thank you. All right, Karen.
Yes. What do we have here? Okay.
You have a picture.
I do. Beautiful picture. Love this. Let's go on. Okay, let me tell you our specials. First of all, we have both our Thanksgiving, so 2019, both our Thanksgiving voyages. I can tell you, I've done a Thanksgiving. You wake up, you smell roasting turkey, and you come fully awake knowing that you're not the one doing the cooking. It's the, I'm going to bring you back to when you were So,
I don't want to
we have that with Champagne House, who is providing our champagne for that. So grab your champagne flute and just enjoy your holiday. The other one, and really anything until Christmas, is $500 off, including Thanksgiving, per person. The other one is, I have to tell you, on the 14th is the Geminids meteor shower. It's 10 times more prolific and brighter than any other meteor shower during the year, and you can sit on your balconies beds and watch this incredible meteor shower on the December 14th sailing, and that's also $500 per person off.
That sounds amazing.
I know.
Very good. Awesome. All right, Javier, deals, promos, and
Yeah, we have everything through 2021 open right now. Next slide. If you're a first-time river cruiser, seriously consider Grand European Tour. This is our #1 seller from Amsterdam to Budapest to Amsterdam. Next slide. We do have included air for this itinerary for 2020. You'll find that in your brochures for river, but very popular here. Next slide. That's all we have? Oh, really?
I mean, it might be afterwards, I can cut you guys off.
Oh, you did? Okay. And then for promotions, if it's not coming up, for promotions, sorry. Oh, wow.
I didn't expect everybody to speak as long.
Okay. We have our book now, pay later promotion running. Since we have our itineraries open through the end of 2021, you have the final payment due 6 months prior to sailing right now. So if you've been following Viking, before our final payment was due a year prior to sailing, but now we've brought back the 6-month final to take advantage of that. And the exclusive, just with Roseborough Travel, is a $200 per cabin shipboard credit on top of anything for river and ocean. In the brochures for river and ocean, you have the book now, pay later promotion with pricing there for 2020.
Excellent. And we will have all of these promotions, so you don't need to memorize all of them. That's for us to do, and we make sure to get you the best rate we possibly can. Yes, questions?
Okay, I'm a single traveler. How much do I have to pay extra?
It depends on when you want to go. One thing is for sure is that you will never have. I mean, I can only talk for us. You will never have 100%. Okay, so we start at 10% single supplement. So I mean, to make it easier, if you cruise at $3,500, it's $3,850 instead of going at $7,000. So it's a bit. And this is valid for all departures. It's a controlled capacity, so it's a limited number of staterooms. After that, I would always say, because after that it goes to 25%, and then the maximum is 50. But I would say, if you want to go on the Rhine or on the Danube, I mean now we have currently 23 cruise ships, so there is a very good chance that if you want to go on July 16th, but the 10% is taken. But just ask Amanda or Tiffany, look, do you have something departing on July 17th? I And if you're a little bit flexible with your date, and I'm sure that there will be a date where you will be able to find that discounted departure for you.
Okay.
Okay, on American Cruise Lines, we have close to 10 staterooms on every ship that are single staterooms. So they're there already. We have single rates. When those are sold out, which they do sell out early, when those are gone, we have single supplements, and they vary like 150% and 160, somewhere around there. But depending on how full the ship is, sometimes we'll go ahead and give you the single rate for a double stateroom.
Supply and demand.
It's just,
It is
sometimes in life, it's all about timing,
Yes.
you know?
With our yacht, we're at 150%, and it is capacity controlled. So once we sell a certain number of singles on the yacht, then we go up to a higher percentage. If you're not traveling, and this is, and again, I'm a very forward, transparent person. The yacht is not something as a single you would want to go on. Unless you're going with family and friends and in a group, then that's fine, but it's 150%. River and ocean, when you're starting in the minimum categories, whether it's petite suite on river or it's an ocean view on ocean, we start at 130%. The deluxe suites on river and the verandas on ocean are at 150. And our full-size suites are always 200% because frankly, they do sell out over a year in advance. And, but we will sometimes have 110% specials, the 10% that Sebastien mentioned as well. But it does, and I think all of us here, once we hit a certain number of singles on board, then that will start ticking up. So those will start out lower.
We're brutal, I don't even want to tell you. So
Good to
we
know.
go 25% on our transatlantic, 50% on Caribbean, and then 200% on Mediterranean. And I apologize.
On Viking, there's 2 ships with single staterooms. It's the Viking Legend and Viking Prestige. They're the only 2 ships in the fleet that have single staterooms. So if you're looking to sail on the Danube, highly recommend taking a look at those. It's a reduced rate versus the 200%. If you're looking to book over a year round, it's 200% percent supplement. If you're looking to book within 4 months or 3 months from sailing, connect with Roseborough. They can tell you where we have a reduced supplement there.
And that's what we'll do with all brands, is go across the board and look and see, what works best for you. Yes, Mike?
I would like to know how early the included tours start.
How early in the morning?
How early in the morning, and if they're all walking tours.
So no, they're not all walking
No, they're not
tours.
all walking.
You can have combined bus tours, combined bus and walk, simply because, for example, if you are on the Danube, and I guess that many of us are, sorry, I have to go with rivers that I know. But if you're docked in Linz and you want to go to Salzburg, Salzburg is in the mountains, so you will have to take the bus to get there. And after that, so I was going to come on that because you would start at 9 o'clock, for example, in that very case. But there is also, so that's if you want to do the full day to go to Salzburg. But we also have an option that is at 11:30, so that you can also go for a walk or a bike tour in Linz first. Come back for a little brunch because you will not have eaten in 90 minutes, so you will need to eat something else. And after that, you can go to the short, what we call short version of Salzburg, where you would go at 11:30 and then you come back around 6:30, 6:45.
Well, typically your tours start about 9.
Typically about 9, but when you're on the, for example, when you're in Normandy, and when you're in Normandy on the landing beaches, you have sometimes to adapt.
And yes, go ahead.
It depends on the itinerary and the port. Sometimes we have morning, sometimes you can choose an afternoon departure. But if you're going to do something that's a longer day, usually you're going to start earlier in the morning just because it's a longer area to travel and so forth. So it's going to vary, but you don't have to do the tours, of course. You don't have to do that, but that's why you're there. But you're not going to be so tired when you're here in the United States, like you're flying an international flight. But
Oh my gosh.
but that's why I was saying, I would suggest you go a day or so early. Go a day early so you acclimate to the time change. So you're not sleeping on the bus.
excursions depending upon the destinations, and it depends on what city we're in and what there is to offer in those cities. But we'll have days where we'll also do an overnight in a city. So you can choose, if you don't want to do a morning tour to this one destination, we may offer it as an afternoon tour the next day or vice versa. There are some, and then the other question that we get is, can we do more than one excursion in a port in a day? Yes, it is possible, but it depends on which excursions you're going to choose and the timing of them. If you're taking something like Strasbourg, when we go to the Mosel River, we do Trier, we have an overnight, and we have a tour that takes you over to Luxembourg. So when you have those longer tours, it's going to be a full day excursion. But you asked about walking tours. Maybe you do a walking tour in the morning, just of the city and a highlight, and then in the afternoon or into the evening, we offer excursions to a restaurant or to a special play or something like that. So it really comes down to your choices and how you want to balance out your days.
What is it?
Ditto.
All right,